watching Outside the Games with your host, Kevin Linton.
This is Kevin Minton with Outside the Games. Welcome to our show. Thank you so much for coming in. We have a great show provided for you today. First of all, we want to announce that with student athletes, this is a show for them. Talks about their character, who they are on and off the field. And of course, we appreciate our sponsors, that of Thera Body, Drink Cocoa 5, TWC Wellness PDX, Fit America, Milestorm, and, we appreciate them very much. But we want to announce that we have a special student athlete with us today. This is Savanna Jemilo. She is a class of 2021 student at Stoughton High School in Wisconsin. Yes, Wisconsin. And her GPA is 3.9. She's a third base, utility, and catcher. Put her everywhere on the field. Savanna, thank you so much for coming into our program. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing really good. Thank you so much for coming in. We appreciate it.
I'm really glad to be here.
Yes. Well, Savanna, as always, and with our show, we always start with family. We believe family is such a big piece to the student athlete. In this sense, we would ask you, how would you define family and why?
I think that when it comes to family, it's almost a group of support that's around you. And for me, my softball team is my family, along with my amazing family that lives here at home with me and my grandparents. And I'm just very lucky that I have so many different people supporting me. So, it's definitely one of the biggest parts of my life because whether I'm on the softball field and I'm backed up by my family there or I'm with my family at home, I always feel the constant support that they give me. So
That's awesome. We love to hear that. That's quite a great expression of family. With family, you have parents, and with parents comes sacrifice for you. But break it down with, let's start with dad. How is dad helpful for you? And you're his daughter, is number one, but also you're a student athlete. So how does he help you to be the best student athlete and daughter possible?
well, both my parents are actually teachers. So my dad has like grown up like helping me with schoolwork. Excuse me. And it's honestly like I can always look to him for support, and he's at every game. He's always there. He's been there for me as I've grown as an athlete, as a person. And I feel like it's a good balance because my dad is always the one that's like, hey, you're doing great no matter what's going on. And my mom really pushes me to like be who I am and like pushes me as an athlete and as a person. And really, I think that not only my dad, but my mom too, they've both like showed me what it's like to be a good person just in general because I've been lucky enough to have them in my life and have them constantly be there for me, whether it's bugging me to do my homework or being there like cheering me on in my game. They're always there. So especially like my dad's always been like my number one supporter.
We love that. I think support from that angle is huge. I mean, there's the basic necessities that are provided for you. Sometimes we take those for granted. Uh,
Right.
Food, shelter, a roof over our head. And let's be clear, sometimes we don't have to pay for stuff.
Yeah.
Parents that pay for things, you don't have to pay for things. But as you're getting older, you find it that, hey, I got a little bit of independence, and you're able to pay for some things. But great definition. So really, when you look at it, with mentorship, I think mentorship is an extension of family. Who are your mentors and why, Savannah?
I think my two biggest mentors like in my life have actually been past softball coaches. And the first one was Coach Damon. He was my coach for 5 years. Just recently, this past year, I switched to play on Iowa Premier, which is a national team. But before that, I was on Wisconsin Outlaws, and he was my coach there. So when I came to him, I was 5 foot. I bunted all the time. So I was super fast, like tiny, like tiny. But then all of a sudden, like one year, I grew like 8 inches. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't know how to hit. I don't know how to do any of this. But what he really did is he like taught me how to actually swing a bat and be in the softball game. But he taught me so much more too, because Wisconsin Outlaws is by far one of the best organizations I've ever been a part of. And I've been so lucky to learn from the coaches there because they don't even just teach softball, they teach how to be a good person, sportsmanship. They teach everything that they think. And they honestly helped me grow as a player and honestly helped me grow as a person more than I did in my softball skills. So I was super lucky to have that family there. And Coach Damon and Coach Brad, they were like second and third dads to me. They were there for the team and they talked all the time about how much they loved us and how proud of us they were. And it really helped me as a player, like know that I had people there that believed in me. So that was really great. And then another mentor of mine, Coach Bondi, which was is my high school coach. And I've grown up having her coach softball. She does youth softball for Stoughton. So I've had her. She taught me, she helped me when I was learning how to hit too. She's just a great person. I babysit her daughter. Like we just have a really great relationship. And she's always been there for me no matter what. She coaches volleyball too. So she's really in my life from all angles. Like she's amazing. And I'm just so grateful because she like showed me how great of a coach I almost wanted to be because I ended up helping her and volunteering as her like assistant for softball. And she showed me how to be a coach and how to be an all around amazing person. So it's crazy because especially Coach Damon, he pushes me with the softball standpoint and he like knows my limits. So he knows exactly how to get me to where I need to be. So I'm really grateful for that. And it's the same with Coach Bondi as well. So
Oh, that's awesome. We love that. We love inspiring people that are able to help the student athlete and uplift them and encourage them. That's great to hear. We get into the aspect of student athlete challenges because boy, there's a lot. With you, Savanna, what are some student athlete challenges you've had to deal with?
So I'm involved in a lot more than just athletics as well. So time management has always been something that I've had to be good at. Like there was no room for me to not be good at it. So it's actually for me, I need my planner and I need to be able to like have my day mapped out. And so a challenge just being a student athlete is after school when you have homework, you go to practice. Like you go straight to practice. And then you get home at night after like a late practice. You may have been in practice for like 3.5 hours. You have to eat, you have to shower, you have to get all your homework done. And I think that like what's helped me the most is I try and get as much as I can like done during the day because a lot of times teachers are great and give us some work time. But also, it's really just the time management because sleep is so important too. So that's definitely a challenge is like actually getting like a good amount of sleep at night. But I've definitely over the years had to learn how to like manage my time because especially with all my like extracurriculars too, like I would not be able to do all of it if I didn't like keep myself in check. Like I need to know that I have a plan. I use it mostly for school, but I also like schedule in like my practices and stuff so I know what I have going on. But really what helps me the most is that I actually get to cross something out when I'm done with it. So I used to just like keep like a notes on my phone like what I had to do, but like I switched to like a paper version because it makes me like more motivated that I get to cross it out after I'm done with it. So definitely that's probably the biggest reason why it helps me is because I'm able to like see everything in front of me and then cross it off as I get it done.
Yeah, because what happens, I think, a lot of times with individuals and not only just student athletes, just individuals in general, we try to seem to go, okay, I'm going to try to remember as many things as possible in my head and think that I'm going to get everything done that I put in there. That does not happen. We always miss something. So that's key when you mentioned about the planner. Isn't it kind of nice for you to be working, especially you can put money in your pocket? You know,
Yes.
mom and dad.
I know, and it's nice because, like, I can pay for my own gas money now because my mom has always been super great. She's like, "I understand how hard you work for, like, softball in school," and she's like, "So I'll pay your gas money for you." I was like, "Well, thank you." But now I'm able to, like, pay for my gas money, and I'm able to, like, save money for college, which is something I was really nervous about. But I've been able to put a lot more in my separate savings account for college, so that's exciting.
That is really cool. That is really cool. Is Savannah Jemilo, is she driving?
Yes.
Wow. Okay, so how's that been?
I love driving. Honestly, I was terrified when I started. Like, I cried every time I got in a car. I was so scared. Like, I was so nervous I was gonna hurt someone because I felt like I had so much control and it was kind of scary. So, but
Savannah's on the road. Watch out, right?
but now I'm like, I love driving, and it's nice because, especially with my parents being so busy, my mom just got an associate's principal job this year. So she's had a lot more hours than she had in the past. But it's really great because I'm able to help out more with my siblings because I have two younger siblings. So, and my brother, he's 16, but he hasn't gotten his license yet. So I'm the only driver and the kids. So I drive everyone all over the place, really.
Wow. I mean, and that's got to be something. With let's add a little bit about your siblings, your brother and your sisters. What is it about them that you find? I mean, being that your brother's 16 only, but how do they help you? I mean, shape you as a student athlete too, though, because you kind of take care of them. I mean, it's family looks out for each other. So how do they help
Right.
you?
Well, my brother and sister, their names are Nico and Katie, and they're my best friends. I've grown up we've always been close. So my sister's a freshman, and then my brother's a junior, and I'm a senior. So we're all pretty close in age, which has been really nice, like growing up and having them as like kind of built-in best friends. But especially like my brother, when COVID started and everything was closed, we would train together and go like to the fields together because he plays baseball. So we would like hang out together. He would push me as an athlete, and we've worked out together, and it's just really great. And then my sister, she's always been like such a great supporter of me, and she hates being at tournaments because they can get pretty long, but she's such a good cheerleader on the sidelines. She's just a great, and I'm so lucky to have them both because they've supported me so much. And honestly, like having them be proud of me for where I've like come has been just it's been great.
Oh, we love to hear that, and especially when family's close like that, means everything. Means everything. Uh,
Exactly.
let's get into the academics aspect of you, Savannah. Um, Especially during COVID, that's been a difficult thing. Tell me what's been the most difficult thing about COVID and in relating to academics.
I think that when I first went into virtual school last March, so some people in Wisconsin have gone back to school, like my mom's school went back, but I haven't been back yet. We're planning to go back on February 8th, so a couple of weeks. Super excited. We're going to go into hybrid, but really when I switched back in March to virtual school, I had a really hard time because I'd been so used to being so busy that I had no idea what to do, and I like got into procrastination and like bad habits. So I had to go back and I had to keep making my schedule, get into a routine, and I had to figure out how I was going to do things from home because we had no sports, no like you weren't allowed, we were on complete lockdown. So I had to figure out how I was doing things at home. So really like Nico helped me a lot, my brother. He helped me a lot like getting back like into it cuz for a while there it was really hard for me to like want to do anything cuz I was just so disappointed, and I never had like my life without softball, which almost impacted me in every way because for academics everything was online. We didn't even actually do Zooms last year. They just implemented that this year. So it was hard for me because I had no face to face interactions. Everything was just given to me on the day I had to do it. And so I started to get into some bad habits of procrastinating and like getting everything done. So really, that was like the hardest part for me. But I was able to getting back to my planner. Like, although it was a little different, I still every day I went through my classes in the morning to see what I had for each class. Like, I was able to like write it down, and that kind of got me back into my routine that I really need. Like I need a routine to function, which is what I found out because really I'm like, oh, it's fine. Like I'll be okay. And then I'm like, I miss my routine. I miss being so busy that I have no time. It was crazy for me that I actually had time to do things. And I was like, what am I supposed to do? I don't even know.
Yeah, and that's what's tough, and because the way COVID hit, let's take back let's look back at this because when COVID hit in mid March. Before that, everything was kind of like, we heard about COVID. We understood that in China, it originated, and then it's kind of, people were getting sick. But when mid March hit, I mean, people were doing stuff prior to that, busy, attending school, all that. Mid March hit, boom, things changed. And it took something from where you were becoming really busy, now is becoming, okay, now what do I do? Because now
Right.
softball's in question, sports, Now the school system is having to rethink how they want to teach and help students learn. So there was that challenge. When that happened, what went into your mind? I mean, you went into a little bit about just the struggle, but what
Right.
what went into your mind when you experienced that?
Well, the week that they decided, we went home on a Thursday and we were supposed to go back that Friday. Well, we had Friday off, but they were going to have us come back because we knew we were going virtual. And then that next Monday and Tuesday, and they eventually said, no, you're not coming back. And that Monday was our first day of softball. So it was tryouts that next week. It was right before, and we'd had open gyms. Everything was great. Like we were completely normal, and we were like, "Oh, maybe we'll just be gone for 2 weeks." And that was the original plan. We'll be gone for 2 weeks, and then we'll be back. Like we'll be fine. We can go back into sports. Everything will be all normal again. And that is definitely not what happened. So, what first came to my mind was, I just really hope we have softball because it's my junior season. It's kind of an important one for recruiting, but really I was just really excited in general because we were supposed to have it was our first time having Coach Bondi because she'd always been like the JV coach and she moved to varsity this past year. So it was our first year I was going to have her as a coach. I was super excited, and then everything kind of just came crashing down all at once and I was not ready for it. And it wasn't even just like softball because I had a lot of different things planned. Like for orchestra, we were going to New Orleans for an orchestra tour where we were going to play for like different audiences, go to clinics. Like we were going for spring break. So, like in a couple weeks. And then I had lots of different concerts going. Like I had so much that was supposed to happen. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh my goodness, like there's no prom anymore. There's nothing. And it was just kind of really hard for me to wrap my head around that in the first place.
Because I
But
think,
in
go ahead,
Sorry,
go
go
ahead, go ahead.
ahead. But in the beginning, I definitely was more hopeful. And I tried to continue to like have hope, like, oh my gosh, we're gonna go back. But eventually, like I recognized we're not gonna go back, but that's okay because there's other things in my life that was brought to me because of this. So I was actually able to get way closer to my siblings too over that time, which I was super grateful. So a lot of positives came out of it, but in the beginning, it was definitely hard for me to wrap my head around it.
And we're talking about delay, delay, delay. So I mean, it was how things like you go, okay, in 2 weeks we'll be right back. We'll be back to
Right.
school. Everything will be back to normal. That didn't happen. So it was delay. Okay, do we get to go back? Nope, gonna delay it again. When do we go back? I mean, we just want to get back to some normalcy.
Right.
So that I'm sure just crept into your mind. But there's an aspect of just the mentality of what it does to a student athlete with COVID. We'll get to that question. We'll get that question answered in a minute. But we're here with Savanna Jemilo. She is a class of 2021 third base utility catcher, 3.9 GPA at a Stoughton High School in Wisconsin. We'll be right back.
When your only competition is yourself, every challenge is only yours to lose or win. Theragun has changed the game for me. I'm Amanda Anisimova. I'm a professional tennis player from Miami, Florida. The Theragun is really good in the mornings because it helps me increase blood flow and prepare for my practices, especially when I'm pretty sore from the previous day. After I finish my matches during a competition, I love using the Theragun because I've been running around for so many hours and it just relieves a lot of the tension and I'm ready to go the next day. You don't go into life only thinking about the win, you focus on making history. It's time to think bigger. I wouldn't trust anyone else but Theragun.
Well, welcome back to our show. We have here Savanna Jemilo. She's class of 2021 out of Stoughton High School in Wisconsin. She is 3.9 GPA, utility, catcher, third base, and she loves to play the game of softball. But Savannah, we're going to get into just, we touched on earlier about COVID. We heard a lot from student athletes that it's affected a lot of student athletes differently, but from the aspect of just the mental side of things, depression, that's been big. That student athletes just want to play the game and they want to get back to some normalcy. How do you think this has affected you mentally, and what have you heard from others?
Well, luckily, In the beginning, it was really hard because no one knew what was happening, but I was able to do a lot of online sessions with Beautiful Beasts of Softball, which is an organization that I'm lucky to be a part of. And we did like workouts together. We had like meetings with different coaches. It was just like a really great experience. But definitely in the beginning, I went through a period where every time I picked up a softball bat, I just got a wave of sadness. I was so sad. I It was to the point where I'm like, I'm not going to get a season. Why should I even try? Like, it was definitely the hardest part I've ever, like, faced as an athlete, mentally, because I had to pick myself back up and get the motivation again, and I think that I grew as a player and a person because I was like, "I don't wanna play softball right now, like, I'm not gonna get a season. Why would I play? Why would I practice?" And my mom, I was really grateful to have her because she was constantly on me. She's like, "Savannah, like you're gonna have a summer season. You're gonna have a summer season. Like keep working." And I was really struggling to have that self motivation that I'd always had. So it was weird for me. But then I started focusing more on like getting my schoolwork done. I got my routine and set. And I was like, okay, I'm going to start practicing again. So I took a little break in the beginning, and I think it was honestly much needed for like my mental health and like switching and everything was changing. But I was able to get back into softball, which had always been my constant. So I was able to have my schedule, get a routine, be able to I had like the same time every day. I would go out into the garage, I would hit in the garage, I would do my workouts in my basement. Like I would do all these different things that it was just new. It was new to me. Like I normally went to my training facility to hit and work out and do throwing. Like I did everything in the same place and I just couldn't do that anymore. So I definitely struggled, especially in the beginning, but my mental state, honestly, I got more motivation and passion for the game when I came back because it really helped me realize how grateful I am to be able to play the game that I love and that not everyone has that opportunity to find something that they love so much. So I just really found like a newfound like I was just so grateful to be able to play again. And my motivation like skyrocketed. Like it was way more than it was before COVID. So I was able to be even more motivated than I was in the past. So it was up and down, but it definitely, I grew more as a person and my mental state definitely grew and to a bigger capacity for motivation.
Well, tell me this about Stoughton High School, Savannah. Uh, what is it like? What is that high school like? I mean, you're gonna be senior. You've been through that school, I think, all going on 4 years now, right?
Oh,
Um, yeah. Tell me what that high school's like, and how much does that mean to you?
I previous to moving to Stoughton, when I lived in Illinois, I lived in some pretty big cities, and I really wasn't used to the whole small town feeling thing. But when we moved here, I was like, oh my gosh, everyone knows everyone. So I absolutely love going to Stoughton High School. There's so many different opportunities that we have, and I'm just really glad because the teachers there, they really care about you, which is really nice because with me, I perform best when I know someone's there supporting me, if that makes sense. Like I love having someone that believes in me. And all the teachers there, they're just great. They love teaching, and I absolutely love that portion. But really, I think the best thing that Stoughton has is all the activities you're able to be a part of. So my favorite ones that I participate in is I'm president of Key Club, which is like a service organization that we have, and we help the community and the school. It's really great. I absolutely love being in it. And I'm also the president of Stoughton Wellness Coalition, which is like working on no teen alcohol and drug use, and that's like the big mission for them. And we go around and we put stickers, we hold like different booths so people like are educated on the costs of alcohol and drug use in teens. And probably let me think. My other favorite one, probably Stoughton Students. We just recently created this over virtual times. Me and a couple of my peers, we founded it, and it's a student tutoring group so that high school students who are either sophomores, juniors, or seniors, they tutor someone that is in a class they've been in before. So I'm like an AP Lit tutor. So I was an AP Lit last year and I got a 5 on the exam, which is pretty exciting. I have no idea how, but it qualifies me to like tutor that to other kids. So it's just nice to have like that option where it's people that have been through the same class and it's not really from like an adult standpoint. So that's probably one of my other favorites. And yeah, there's so many different activities I'm involved in. I know like I love keeping myself busy, so being able to be a part of them, and like I love volunteer work, so there's a lot of options for that, especially through Key Club. So that's why I've been president the last 2 years, is because I absolutely love all the opportunities we give our members. And like even in COVID, like we've been making a lot of cards actually because there's not much we can do in person, but we made cards for inmates in Madison jails, and we also made cards for different nursing homes around the Stoughton community. So it's so great. They have so many opportunities that I'm able to be participating in all these amazing organizations and hosting these great events like for our school and community. So I think really it's just the community at Stoughton is amazing, and everyone knows everyone, you know everyone, and it's just how it is.
Wow. I mean, that right there, I mean, you talk about community and you talk about a student athlete giving back of their time in different variety of areas. That's really strong. That's really strong. And it seems to me that the support of the community,
Definitely.
so it's in high school and just all the businesses, all these ones, they all work together collectively in helping others and making an impact with others, right?
Right, for sure. And it's really, I was not really super excited about the small town thing when I first moved here because I love big cities. I love commotion. I love things being busy. Like, I love it. But then when I got here, I just realized the sense of community that's here. And I've been here since seventh grade. So it's been a little bit, it's the longest I've ever been somewhere. We moved a couple times in Illinois. So I absolutely love it. I'm so glad that I get to be a Stone alumni because there's just such a great community, especially in athletics. The athletic support is incredible. The community is so supportive of our different athletic programs, and we have a great athletic director. Everything's just it's really nice to have all that support from the community.
We would love to hear that. Community is everything, and I think people need to understand that. How? Oh, hi, cat. People need to understand, like, because the cat wants to say something, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But everybody rallies around community, and I think that's what's really strong about it is that when each person feels that they can make an impact in some way, it makes it for a better community in general,
Definitely.
and they support one another. So that's big. So we're here with Savanna Jemilo, class of 2021, GPA 3.9, third base, utility catcher, Stoughton High School, and in Wisconsin. We'll be right back.
All moving at our own speed. From essential workers to frontline responders to you. Whenever you're ready to get out there, Enterprise is ready too. With our complete clean pledge, you'll have the peace of mind that will get you safely on your way, wherever and whenever that may be. Enterprise. When you're ready, we're ready.
Well, welcome back to our program. We have here Savanna Jemilo with Stoughton High School in Wisconsin, 3.9 GPA. She's crushing it in the classroom. Softball player, third base, utility catcher. Boy, there's a lot of things that Savanna can do and do well. This Zoom world where now you have to check in. Your attendance is based on you checking into the Zoom call, the lesson. So how important is that checking in and attendance mean to the grade? Because that's kind of what it's based on, isn't it?
Yeah. So really what happens is so we have like unexcused absences, like is you have to get there before the 10-minute mark of the class in order to count as like an excuse, like you're there. But it's kind of complicated because the attendance itself doesn't impact our grade, but whether you're there or not definitely shows in your grade because these lessons are so like they are so helpful compared to having to learn it all by yourself because you actually have teacher instruction in real time and you're able to ask questions like in real time, and it's so much better than just having to have all your work in one day and doing it. So really just being in class is really important because you can get these topics because some teachers they teach it in class and they record all the Zoom calls in case you miss, so you can go back and watch them. But also then you can really in the moment ask questions, get clarification, make sure you're all caught up and know what's going on because that's something that's really hard, especially last year. You could get behind super easy because if you didn't understand one thing and it spiraled, then it was really hard to catch back up. And that was definitely like harder for me in math because I'm a very visual learner for like math class, and math has always been my favorite subject, but I have to put a lot more work into it than like I do like my reading classes. So really just switching to math was definitely the hardest part, but now I have like my favorite math teacher this year, and every Zoom call like I actually learning the material and being able to like understand it. And I'm an AP Calc, so it's really hard, but I'm lucky because I have a great teacher like on Zoom every day that I'm able to see. So
Oh, that's all. That's so awesome to hear. I mean, I think the thing is too is that with challenges, you try to deal with those challenges in trying to make it better in some way, somehow, even with the teachers. How do you get the best out of the teacher? So, what? How can you help the teacher be successful when it comes to this kind of platform in Zoom learning?
well, luckily, a lot of the teachers have actually asked for student input as far as like how they're teaching classes, when works best for them, like different assignments. I know like so many Google Forms get sent out where they're like, "Hey, you want to fill out the survey? Like, do you like the assignments we're doing? Does it work for you? Like, do you want more of something, less of something?" So a lot of times after the first quarter, they did that for a lot of my teachers, and almost all my classes, I had a reflection to complete this past week for the end of semester just so they can really take that. They value student input so much. So just being able to like know that you can go talk to your teacher about something is really nice because they actually listen to you and like imply it in different aspects of virtual learning.
Now that's great. And how does the teacher? How do you make it? How does the teacher make it better for you to be a student athlete? You know, what do they have to do to provide for you to help you out?
Well, I think a lot of the leeway this year has definitely been with deadlines because they kind of give you, they know that it's hard. And my teachers recognize this all the time, like especially my math teacher. He constantly is like, I completely understand that this is hard and there's a lot going on in your life right now and it's different. And he's like, this is a lot. You're not in school. This is crazy. And he's like, but I understand. So he makes it so a lot of teachers have it where for chapter homework, it's due at the end of the chapter. So like let's say like they definitely say like try and get it done when you do it because then it's fresh in your brain for like that lesson or whatever it is. But they're also super helpful because if you need help in something and let's say you're like, oh my goodness, like I don't know what's going on and it's a couple days later, they're like, it's okay, I can help you so you can do it right and then turn it in and it's not technically late. So it varies from class to class, but a lot of teachers are really great at helping with students and especially when so at Stoughton we have like a retake policy that you can get up to if you like get lower than an 80%, you can get up to an 80%. So like you can get that solid B for that test. So a lot of teachers have a lot of great resources afterwards. So like let's say you did really bad on your test and you got like a D, then you can actually reach out. The teachers give you a retake assignment. They're able to help you learn, see what happened so that you didn't do well the first time and then help you get that B grade that you wouldn't have had before. So Stone has a lot of great resources in general and the teachers all just you can just tell that they care about like their students. So that's definitely helpful.
What do you have to do as a student athlete to make this teacher successful though? Because there's some, again, that's that teacher student relationship that you constantly have to check in and work on, because again you're spending a lot of time with them,
Right.
lessons and classes. So what does Savannah Jemilo have to do?
I think that most of the time I just try and be completely honest with my teachers if I'm struggling. That's like the biggest thing because teachers they don't know if you're struggling unless you tell them. And they want you to ask questions. Like they want you to like get clarification if you don't understand. And it's really hard sometimes to feel that way because it's like, "Oh my gosh, I don't want them to think that I'm not listening." But really, I think that what I personally try to do is if I'm confused, I always try my best to ask questions because a lot of teachers preach like you're not going to learn unless you ask questions, like you have to ask questions, but sometimes it's really hard to be like, oh my gosh, I have to ask a question to the teacher. But I definitely try super hard that when I'm confused on something I reach out just so they know because and it's helpful especially in like my AP Chem class this year. We do like homeworks and how it works is she's seeing where we're at on the topic so that if we because it's just formative grades so like the points aren't going to affect your grades super like it's not going to be a big different like it's not going to be that big of a difference for like what your grade is, but the teacher knows where you're at on that topic. So she, even if you don't reach out, she can still reach out to you. But I always try and reach out if I'm struggling, especially in the drop in times. It's just so easy just to pop into the Zoom and be like, hey, I don't know. I was confused in class today. Like, what am I going to do? And they're just, it's really nice to be able to have that resource. So I always try and do that.
That's one thing outside the games does do. We put the teachers on notice. I mean, there's a lot of work they do, and I'll be honest, it's been said a couple times with many people, they're underappreciated as far as what they do and how much work, how much of the lesson planning. And I know several teachers myself of what they have to do to produce a lesson plan or what goes into it, and deal with the whole Zoom learning.
Yeah.
That's just a different thing that you said earlier. They're learning on the fly as we are,
Right.
and but they're the professionals. They're the ones that we as student athletes look to say, we're hoping you have this organized.
Yes.
So that's big. That's big. Well, let's get into how is Savanna with regards to test taking, and what do you go into preparing for a test? Because everybody's a different test taker. Some people got anxiety, but some people just, hey, you know what? I know how to plan for it, and I know if I study really well, I know the outcome will be successful.
So I am so lucky that I have two parents as teachers, because I've grown up like my mom would always have us do summer school books. Like we were always doing things for school, and kind of like what you were saying, like it was definitely like hard for them to learn too for virtual learning. I definitely see what you were saying in that past point with like teachers and how underappreciated they are. Trust me, I know both my parents work so hard, and it's just crazy for me to see it. And they set such a great example. But pretty much, I think that for test taking, it's always been something that comes a little more natural to me for as far as like test taking goes and like standardized testing. Like I tend to like do pretty well on tests right away, but I think that I realized that not everyone is that way. And I think that it comes to like the whole school system because really everyone learns differently, and it's different for everyone. And sometimes I feel like it's nice because tests sometimes they take up a lot of our grade, but formative work takes up a part of it too. So it's nice for students that struggle with test taking. They're able to have all their homework turned in, and that makes a big difference. Like you'd be surprised. Like it makes a really big difference on your grade if you like do all your homework. But for me, it's always kind of came natural for me. Like when I was taking the ACT, how I did it is like the first time I took it, I did it with no prep. And then after, like based on that score, I like worked on like certain areas, and then I was able to like get my score. I ended up taking it 3 times. So it definitely was difficult, but I was able to like move up like 3 points or 2 points with like super score, and everything's kind of weird with like fluctuation. But I was able to like how I think about going into tests is I like to know how I did on the formatives and like know what parts I need to work on, because I can recognize which parts I need more help on. And I love Quizlet. Quizlet's like my best friend. I love doing Quizlet flashcards. So that's definitely been helpful to me. But I've kind of been like lucky in the sense that test taking's always kind of came natural to me. But I definitely in math class it doesn't, if that makes sense. So like different classes it comes more natural, but in math I definitely like I need to do all my formative work. So I definitely try and do all my formative work so that I do better on the test, and normally that helps.
That's great. You have a plan, and that's what we're noticing is that you have a plan. But there's some figuring out too. You're figuring some things out.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
I got this figured out. I know how to proceed. Well, hey, we'll be right back here with Savanna Jemilo, Stoughton High School in Wisconsin, class of 2021, GPA 3.9, softball player, third base, utility, catcher. We'll be right back.
Dr. Mark Gabriel. I'm a chiropractor at the Wellness Center PDX and the Wellness Center Beaverton. My main goal is to help out as many patients to get out of pain as fast as possible by giving the body its natural ability to heal itself. So we have two clinics. One is in the heart of Lower Hearst neighborhood, and the other one is on the west side by St. Vincent Hospital. We have multiple providers that are able to assess the body from various different angles by assessing the nervous system, the muscular system, and the bones as well as the joints. And that way we can be able to provide a treatment plan that's individualized for every single patient. We have a holistic approach to be able to heal any joint pain without surgery. We accept all major health insurance plans, and if there's something that is not covered, we make sure it's affordable. At our offices, we treat the main cause of the problem and not just the symptoms, because symptoms might come back again and then the problem gets worse.
Well, welcome back. We have here Savanna Jemilo. She was Stoughton High School in Wisconsin, 3.9 GPA, softball player. she's doing both. She's a student athlete. She's handling both the classroom and stuff on the field. And I tell you, class of 2021, 3.9 GPA, that's impressive.
Well, thank you.
Yes, yes. So we get into the third segment here to talk about this. With regards to softball, softball has been amazing to you. You have made the decision to stick with it, love the game, have the passion for the game. Take me through what softball has meant for you. Now, you haven't been able to play much due to COVID, but hopefully things are changing to where you're able to start being able to play.
Yes.
What do
So
you look forward to?
I definitely softball. I've been playing year-round travel softball since I was 7 years old. I played on the 10U team when I was 7. And I mean, I obviously was in T-ball and stuff before that, but for the last 10 years, I've been playing year-round, no breaks. Like, we have a couple weeks here and there, but it's been my life. Like, it's my one passion that I truly like look forward to like every day. Like, I love softball. It's amazing. But really, I think that going back, I'm looking forward to like being around my team more. So we were lucky enough that this past summer I was able to have a club season. So this was my first year on Iowa Premier. And we traveled a lot to like Oklahoma, and we did like Texas. So like some states that were still open over the summer, and we were able to like play. And like I know Iowa was open too for a while. So, and since they're out of Iowa, we did a couple tournaments there. But I was actually super lucky that I was able to play this summer. So that was great having a new team, but I definitely am super excited to go back to school ball because there's a very different feel between travel softball and school softball. And travel is amazing. It's great. But a lot of times you feel like the pressure's on, if that kind of makes sense. And I love pressure. Like, I tend to perform better under pressure. But having the school ball season is just great because I'm with my high school friends, which is amazing because I have 2 separate sets of friends that are like my family on different teams. And it's great because I have 2 different places I can go where I'm on the team. And I'm like, oh my goodness, look how amazing all these other like 10 girls are. Like, I'm just so lucky that I have that, but I'm definitely looking forward to going back to the school season because it was super disappointing. My best friend and I, we play together on the same school team, and we were just so upset that we didn't get our last season. And so we're really fingers crossed. How it's going in Wisconsin is we kind of like pushed everything. So our winter sports are playing right now, like my brother's in wrestling. So that's exciting. And then we're just not allowed to play in our county because I'm in Dane County, which is like the worst county in Wisconsin right now. So we have to go out of county to play, which is completely fine. Like, you can go half an hour and be out of county. But and then the plan is that we have fall sports next in between after winter sports. So I'm hopefully going to get a volleyball season. We'll see though. And then our spring sports are supposed to start a little later and go into our summer a little bit. So we normally we start in September for school and we go through June. So like we go to like June 10th or whatever, which is a little later for some people because some get out early. But what's going to happen is we're going to have our softball season. I think it starts in April. Volleyball starts in February. I think it starts in April and it goes May and June. So we should be through the June month. So I'm like really excited because it's going to be nice out. Normally, like the first month, especially in Wisconsin, we're indoors for practice anyway. So it's like we're never even outside for that month that we would normally start to begin with. So it's nice. We're going to have some nice weather. And I'm just super excited to be back with my team. And we do these things called senior nights. And I'm just kind of really excited because I can't believe I'm a senior still. So having a senior night, I'm super looking forward to that.
You got to pinch yourself that you're a senior now. You know, because we were talking about how COVID has, you know, impacted counties, right? Because one county may be on a different tier or phase and you have to go to a different county. So there has been something to say that of, hey, I've had to kind of rethink my process, and just the aspect of just being able to go anywhere I want to go and play may change. Right. Take me through your positions though. Third base, utility, catcher. What is the favorite position that you love to play, Savanna?
Oh, I don't even know. So for club in the past, when I was playing on Outlaws, I played third base pretty much primarily. And then for high school season, I caught like pretty much the whole time. So it's like I kind of like had it like back and forth, but I've thrown in lots of positions in there. Like I play short for school too. I played some outfield and in club, and this past year for club, I actually like, so over this past fall season, I caught a lot more then I played third for Iowa Premier. So that was super exciting. I love catching. I love playing third. Really, those are definitely my top two positions, but I have no idea if I could choose between them. Like, I love them both, like, the same.
I think what I've learned about college, and again, we talk to student athletes that are football players, basketball, all sports, but relatively thinking that just to be able to know the positions, know how they work, in order for a coach in a college program to be able to say, you know what, I can plug Savanna anywhere on the field. She can dominate. Of course, there's always a strong position, but that gives the college coach some great things to work with.
And really, like, when it comes to college, especially in softball, all the advice I've gotten from different college players has been versatility. Like, you need to be versatile. You need to be able to play different positions, because when you go to college, especially if you're going to a bigger school or like a Division I program, you have to earn a spot, and you're trying to get a spot no matter where it is. Like, you're just trying to get on the lineup. So being able to be versatile and like having those different positions has been super helpful, especially since I've had colleges like having offers for me for different positions. So it's like that, you kind of take that into account too, but it's also like they know they can put you somewhere. So that's like, I think that's like the biggest piece of advice, honestly, that I would give, like, especially a softball player, and I'm sure other sports too, but for softball especially, like, if you're versatile, you're going to find your way onto that lineup eventually. Like, you just have to like work for it.
COVID is really had an impact on recruiting from a standpoint of just film, being able to play time out there. So with the recruiting piece, how's that gone for you with that in college programs, taking an interest, getting letters, getting phone calls, whatever it is in some way of communication?
So class of 2021 has definitely been impacted the most by like COVID as far as like money standpoint, just like scholarship wise, simply because the NCAA granted the extra year of eligibility, which is great. Like, they definitely deserve it. Like, that is completely fine. But from a money standpoint, there's not as much money in programs now. So a lot of like coaches are struggling because they have to find athletes that are willing to come without a scholarship. But I've been super lucky. At the moment, I have 4 Division I scholarships. So I've been really lucky, but they've all been recent. Like, I was really behind in like the whole recruiting process. I was the first one in the club that ever went, well, I mean, our grade was the first grade in the club that had to go through it, because Outlaws was an organization that actually started with our age group. So it was really great, and they've grown amazing, and it was really great. But we all kind of figured it out together, and it was a really great process. But I definitely like joined a little later than I guess like other people are, because I see these girls that are freshmen like having their Twitter going, and I'm like, okay, that's good for you. Like, I wish I did that. But so my junior year, I started like going to camps, and I was trying to realize like how important camps were, starting to recognize that. And really, my offers as of now, a lot of them actually came through Twitter. So I have a video on my Twitter that I have pinned, and it's like me with my overhand speed, which is definitely like a measurable that a lot of college coaches look for, just like having an arm. And my overhand speed is like pretty fast. So having that, I actually had 2 coaches reach out to me just over Twitter DMs, and they're like, hey, can we set up a phone call? And I'm like, oh my gosh, these are Division I coaches. And I'm like, this is crazy. So we got on calls, they gave me offers. I was like, that happened so fast. Like, it was really late in my senior year too. Like, it was just recently. And that's a lot later than a lot of people, because normally a lot of like Division I schools, they tend to sign closer to the September 1st deadline, and then there's like a couple more spots as you go on. But it's definitely late for 2021's. Like, on Iowa Premier, all my teammates were committed except me. So it was like I was surrounded by all these girls that are committed to like Drake and like Iowa State, Iowa. Like, these are like big schools. They have a lot of connections in Iowa, especially. So these are girls that are going to like, there's a girl going to Kentucky. Like, they're huge. And I was surrounded by these people, and I'm like, oh my goodness, how did I get here? But it really pushed me as a player, and definitely recruiting wise too. So I was able to obtain my offers, and now I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to get on visits. I've done virtual visits. It's kind of hard right now, but COVID definitely impacted it to where it was definitely later, and having the dead period, the NCAA like keeps extending it, and no one's able to watch me play. So I know for 2021s, it's been a struggle, especially ones that decided to wait a little bit for like committing purposes. And that was definitely me because I wanted to like see campuses. I wanted to go see things. And then it's a little difficult now because I can't really do that. I think I have one in February, kind of exciting. So I'm hoping to commit decently soon, but I'm still kind of waiting, trying to figure out like different options. And I'm planning on majoring in biochemistry. So it's not super common, like it's common, but it's not as common as like a strict biology degree. So I have to look at schools based on majors and all of that. So it's really fun, but COVID had a huge impact. I'm not going to lie about it. The recruiting process just kind of was put on halt and everything was stopped. And I was slightly freaking out because it was a little late. I didn't know where I was going. I just wanted to know. Like, I really just wanted to know. And all my friends were knowing where they're going. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And so COVID just kind of was like, all right, we're going to stop here, press pause. And I just wasn't quite ready for it. But, you know, we worked through it. It's starting to get back in motion. Definitely showed how important like videotape and like tape of your games and like showing what you're doing on the off season. Like, that's super important. I like learned a lot about like Twitter, especially like what you have to post on Twitter, because I had no idea what I was doing on Twitter. And I was super excited to join the Twitter community because I didn't even realize there was a community like that on Twitter. But like there's so many different softball girls that like we all just like band together and like have so much fun. And I definitely loved it, but I learned a lot from like what other people post. So it's kind of weird for me, like having to like talk about myself in Twitter posts. I was like, what is going on? Like, but it's definitely been helpful, especially in COVID, because a lot of coaches, like they're looking through that social media aspect now because they can't go out to games. Like, what are they supposed to do? It's literally strictly through social media and like sports recruits accounts. Like you have to go digitally now, especially with COVID.
And you have to promote yourself. I mean, I think we've always said that to the student athlete now. And it's funny because before COVID, it was kind of like, okay, everybody was kind of helping you out, you know, giving you, taping skill videos for you, all this other stuff. Yeah. Now it's like you're self-promoting.
Our school season, I'm definitely looking forward to like transitioning because I know I have to prepare myself for the next level and actually get in a routine for like it's going to be in college. So we're really excited. So our program has struggled the last couple of years as far as like our record and everything. And in my 3 years I played, I had 3 different coaches. But I'm super excited for the season. I have super high hopes. We have a pretty solid team coming into this year. So I'm looking forward to and having Bondi as a coach. We've had amazing coaches in the past, but I'm super excited to have Bondi as our coach this year. She just knows so much about softball and like being able to like get us where we need to be for high school. And so I'm really looking forward to it. And honestly, like the best part is I'm going to be a senior. Like I have to be the leader on the team. And I'm looking forward to that because in the past, I've been on varsity since I was a freshman and I like looked up to the seniors as a freshman. So I'm glad that it's kind of like, oh my gosh, I'm in the seniors place now. And I'm definitely looking forward to working super hard and hopefully getting a conference title would be great. And as far as it can go on, that'd be awesome. It'd be really exciting.
That would be something special, especially with all you had to deal with COVID and everything. Well, I tell you, it's been a pleasure to have you on our program. I tell you, we've been blessed to have you here in Outside the Games on our show and talk about you as a student athlete, you know, on and off the field and what you've had to deal with, the struggles, and really what I found out too is you be providing that light for others and what you do on and off the field. So that's been impressive to us. But we here with Savanna Jemilo. She's of Stoughton High School, Wisconsin, 3.9 GPA, class of 2021 softball player, third base, utility catcher. Pleasure to have you, I tell you.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I loved being on the show.
I'm glad. I hope you had some fun too.
I definitely did.
That's great. That's great. We're not done. We have this thing called the Quick Blitz. We ask you personal questions just to kind of get to know you a little bit better.
Okay.
Favorite foods, Savanna? Come on, bring it to me.
Potatoes.
and potatoes done in any way, shape, or form, just as long as it's potatoes.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, strong. Favorite dessert?
Ooh, ice cream.
There you go. Favorite shoe to wear?
Crocs.
Okay.
I have a lot of pairs.
Favorite cleat to wear on the field?
Probably ringer.
Okay. Favorite mitt?
Ooh, I love my mitt right now. Ooh, I don't even know. I've had like so many great. Probably my Rowlings right now. I really like it.
Favorite musical artist you like right now? There's a lot, but.
Oh, I'm really into country right now, so I love Luke Combs. He's definitely my favorite artist.
Go. Last movie you just saw?
Oh, I watched Titanic last night with my best friend.
3 hours that you may not get back.
It's I've seen it before, but it was her first time watching it. So I was like, I'm glad I'm here for your experience.
That's what I was just thinking. Oh, that's wrong. If you could travel anywhere in the world, a destination spot, where would that be?
I'd probably go to Kenya. So our family through Compassion International has sponsored different children throughout, and I've had, for my 7th birthday, instead of getting gifts, I sponsored a child, and I really would love to meet him. I've sent letters back and forth throughout over the past few years, and technically I'm not his sponsor anymore because he's over 18, but I'd love to meet him. So.
That's great. I love that. Apple or Android, and why?
Apple, because it's more user friendly, and I'm not very good with technology. Like, I've gotten better, but I'm not very good at like the whole like figuring out all the tech stuff.
Hey, there you go. There you go. If Savanna could choose a car or SUV to drive, what would she go and get?
Okay, so I love Jeeps, but I probably would get like, I don't know. My grandma has like a Honda Pilot like SUV, and I love that car. It drives really smooth because I've gotten to drive it before. So I like bigger cars. Like, I like SUVs a lot.
There you go. Grandma, watch out. Try to grab that Pilot phone. If you could have an impact in something, in some way, in the world today, what would that one thing be, Savanna?
Honestly, I think that in the moment, I would definitely choose to have an impact as far as racial equality. So a lot of things happened, especially towards the end of 2020, that really, I obviously cannot understand completely, but it just saddened me to see all these things going on in our world. And it's crazy to me that those things exist. And I think that if I had the power where I could try and make a change in something like that, I definitely would, because it's just so sad to me that so many people are losing their lives over something as crazy as the color of their skin. So I would definitely have an impact on that. And I mean, I try and use social media to spread awareness and put out links and petitions and as much as I can. But if I had a really big impact where I could take my platform and use it, I would definitely use it on racial equality and equity, especially in schools.
Powerful. Student athlete has power to make an impact in some way, and I definitely know that you would use it in that sense. Well, I tell you, we have one last final question, and we know you get it right because you are a senior. You're smart. This is what you would prefer. Okay, 2 things.
Okay.
Would you prefer ice cream that's melted in your bowl and not cold, or would you prefer on being on outside the games?
Being on outside the games.
Hey, we appreciate you very much. I tell you, been a pleasure to have you. This has been fun. And again,
it has.
For student athletes, it's something they can look at and see how their peers are doing. And I think in this COVID environment, we all need a little bit of uplifting. We all need a little bit of positivity. Again, I've always heard this, that, and especially now with 2021, is, are you going to be that light? Are you going to be that light for somebody else? And so definitely, we appreciate you very much, Savanna. Savanna Jemilo, Stoughton High School, Wisconsin, 3.9 GPA, class of 2021, softball player, third base, utility, catcher, has 4 offers. Boy, we're going to be watching you. We're going to see what's going on. If you have that season, you let us know what that schedule is. Maybe it could be there.
Well, thank you so much. We appreciate everything you do for student athletes, and you're honestly the light. I'm just putting it out there. You're going to be the light in 2021 for all these student athletes. So we appreciate you.
Thank you. God bless you. I appreciate that very, very much. Well, Savanna Jemilo, be on the lookout for her. Next level, class 2021. Some special things are going to be happening. Hopefully a little bit of this.
Thank you.
I'm Melissa DeCuros, and you're watching Outside the Games with your host, Kevin Menton.